Welcome to the Relocated South African, the show for navigating immigration from South Africa for a better future. I'm your host, Jan Hugo from Lagos, Portugal. Today I welcome Alicia and Silvano Pizzocaro, who live on the Isle of Man with their family. Welcome, Alicia and Silvano.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you. Well, I'm sure that a lot of our listeners may have heard of the Isle of Man, but may not know much about it. So before we go too far, tell us a bit about the island. How many people? Where is it exactly?
So we have a ringing joke around that we're in the rock in the middle of the Irish Sea, literally. It's about 13 miles wide and
About 20 miles.
20 miles long. It is off the coast of England, in the middle of England, Ireland.
It's a little island in the Irish Sea with about 85,000 people.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, 85,000. And about 10% of that is South Africans.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's obviously because it's a financial and IT center.
Yes. A lot of online gaming and finance, yeah.
Okay. And it's a tax haven, I suppose.
Correct, yeah. And there is reduced tax and that kind of stuff.
Is it true that the weather's really bad? Somebody said that summer last year was on a Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday and a Friday, maybe. We had about 3 good days.
And you guys are used to the weather?
We are, I guess, to a point, but you have to sacrifice something, right, for a better life. So weather was one of them, unfortunately. We had to give something up. You can't have everything.
Yeah, but I guess people are able to adapt. The other positive of the Isle of Man is obviously the TT. Tell us a little bit about the TT. A lot of people, again, know that it's a motorbike race, but I don't think people really appreciate what it's about.
No, so it's a bit chaotic over those 2 weeks, and people here are more than ready to have people leave the island after the second week, because it's just like, I think half the island's population come over those 2 weeks. So it's about 40,000 people that come and see the races. So it's absolute chaos. Good for our tourist industry, but basically you have a 1 week practice, 1 week race week. They race on the roads of the Isle of Man. So they are closed in practice week from 6 o'clock in the evening. So you have to kind of rush home from work, and then the roads are all closed. Then they practice. And then race week, I think it's from 9 to 5. They close during the day. And then like a short break in between for people to get home from work and stuff. So it is chaotic. It's incredible at the same time. We've watched it every year. Silvano's brother comes over to watch it. He's been now 6 years in a row. Something like 6 or 7 years in a row. So they always come because they absolutely love it. I mean, those bikes are going 280 kilometers an hour past you. And I mean, you're sitting on the side of the road. So it's absolutely incredible to watch, but it's also, I think you need a different kind of mindset to race that race.
I can imagine. And it's all amateurs. Are they pro teams or?
They are pro teams. They are guys from BSB, which is the British Superbike. So there's a couple of guys that race British Superbikes that come and do it. As a rider, they obviously, when you watch them, you think, oh, these guys are crazy. But to them, they're having like the best time of their life.
Yeah.
Well,
I can just imagine. And as you say, sitting next to the road and seeing those guys flash past at those speeds. And there's very often bad accidents. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think
270 people.
over the life of the race, I think it's 270 have perished. But I think it's on average 2 every year die.
Wow.
You can imagine, they're doing, the average speed is around 135 miles an hour. That's the average speed around the island.
And I mean, you're running next to walls, trees, you're running on a public road, right? So when you come off at that speed,
there's no room for error.
No.
Wow. And the length of the track in total?
33 miles.
I think. 32.3 or something, I think.
Okay, that's quite long. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah,
It
it takes them about 17,
yeah.
18 minutes to get around the track.
Wow, that's incredible. That is an amazing attraction. And, everybody, when you say Isle of Man, people know about the TT. That's the first thing they talk about. So awesome.
To correct, it's 37 miles, the track. That's how long it is.
Okay, let's get to, how did you get to the island? When did you leave? What prompted you to go to Isle of Man?
We arrived in 2018, but I think in 2017, we kind of knew already we wanted to immigrate. Obviously, back then we weren't married yet, we didn't have kids, and we kind of just wanted somewhere to go to bring up our children in a safer place, safe environment, have a better life. So, I mean, we started looking. Someone was lucky enough to get 2 job offers, one in London, one on the Isle of Man. We came to visit the Isle of Man January 2018 to come and have a look, to see how it is. I think when we were here, it was the coldest week they've had in about 50 years. Wind was like gusts of I can't even remember. We were literally standing sideways and the wind was like holding us up. Like it was just insane, but we fell in love with the place. Port Erin especially was absolutely magnificent. Went to Castle Town. We did a lot of sightseeing. And I guess we absolutely just loved the environment that was here and the safety. And yeah, I think we then came here for the week and then we had like a day in London before we flew back to SA. And I couldn't stand London. It was just absolutely chaotic. I don't think I would have survived there. So Isle of Man it was. And about 3 months later, we moved over.
Wow, that's incredible. And obviously in 2018, 2019, so you were there during the COVID. What was that like in a small place like that?
I think we were lucky compared to the rest of the world. I think because the Isle of Man is so small and because we locked down so quickly, we were very isolated and in like a bubble, if you want to call it that. So our first lockdown was not as hectic as everyone else's. I think it was about 3 months. Not even 3 months. So the Isle of Man was still locked. No one could come in or out. But on the Isle of Man, we were not in lockdown. So after like the first 2 months, people could at least go out. We could have 2 meters distance. And that went on for like obviously masks everywhere, but we were open. And I think that went on for a couple of months before we hit our second lockdown. I think we went through 2, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think we had it half as bad as, let's say, England did. Because, I mean, the Isle of Man was small. The borders were locked down for a very long time, so no one could come in or out. And I think that's what saved us, because obviously they contained the amount of people that had it on the island and they wouldn't let anyone else in or leave for that matter. So I think we were very lucky with regards to COVID. I think we had a lot more freedom than other countries did a lot sooner.
When you decided to leave South Africa, it's also a debate that often comes up in these discussions, is that as a couple you had to be on the same page. You were both in total agreement that immigration was the right thing.
Yeah, I think as soon as we found the opportunity to leave, we took it. It's just we knew we needed a better future for our children. So, I mean, it was literally...
To summarize, it wasn't even a debate, really.
No.
It was just like, when are we going and where are we going?
Yeah. And how do we get there?
Yeah.
And red tape-wise, what was that like, getting in there and working and so on?
Fortunately, I'm a European citizen, and we moved pre-Brexit, which reduced a lot of complexity in the navigating the immigration process. So I came over and I was eligible to work, being a European citizen, pre-Brexit. Alicia came over with a EEA family permit at the time. I don't know if that still exists after Brexit. And then once we went through Brexit, we applied for pre-settled status, and that was like they almost, if you were in the country, they almost just gave it to you.
Yeah.
We didn't
So
really
pre-Brexit, if you were in the country before the certain dates, I think it was, can't remember the specific year, but if you had moved over before December that year, you could apply for pre-settled, and we got it within a couple of months. So we were really lucky with regards to that as well.
And will that convert into citizenship?
Yes. So I have just applied. I've applied for mine in January. It takes about 2 years on the Isle of Man. But obviously now that we've been here 7 years, I've now been able to apply for my nationalisation. So that takes 2 years, and then I should be able to get my British passport.
Okay. And you have a daughter, she was born on the island, is that right?
Yes, she was. Yeah, in the middle of COVID.
Oh, wow. Okay. Being born there, is she a Manx citizen?
No, actually, interesting enough, when she was born, she was an alien. She wasn't a citizen of any country, not even the Isle of Man. So one of us had to be British citizens before she could be a British citizen. So for the first couple of months, she didn't have anything. She had her birth certificate, and then we applied for an Italian passport for her. But only once I get my nationalisation can she get hers.
Okay, then she can become British as well. So she'll have dual citizenship. Wow, that's actually quite interesting, because a lot of countries, if a child's born there, they get citizenship. Like my grandson was born in Ireland, and because the parents had been there for 3 years, he's got an Irish passport, which is different then to what happens on the Isle of Man. So
yeah, very different. I actually also assumed that, and obviously when I phoned, they were like, no. One of you have to be a British citizen.
No, I think after 5 years, she could get a British passport. I think we've been settled now for 5 years. I think if we were to have a second, that the new child would automatically become a UK citizen.
I think they are, because we have settled status now. Yeah.
And is there a separate Manx passport, or they're all UK passport?
No, there's a separate one.
It's
a Channel Island
Crown Independent.
Yeah, or something
passport.
Like that.
Okay. Well, that's quite interesting. All righty. And do you guys see yourselves still as South Africans at this stage?
Yes and no. Yes, when it's work and people can hear my accent, they're like, oh, you're from South Africa. And I'm like, yes, yes, I am. But other than that, I think I feel like we are quite settled, yeah. Obviously, I am still South African. I still have family back home. Other than that, I think as soon as I get my British passport, I think, well, then, I don't know.
I would be happy to rescind my South African citizenship if they said you have to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw, just yesterday there was a ruling by the appeals court in South Africa that said that the previous law from 95 has now been repealed. It was wrong and it was unconstitutional. You don't have to give up your citizenship, and you don't have to get approval to get another citizenship. So all that is nonsense. So you can stay a South African citizen for what it's worth. But yeah, it has been quite a debate. And have you guys been back to SA?
A few times, I think. 3 times. Every time we can go, we go. I mean, obviously, we have his parents in South Africa still. We have my dad and stepmom. So there's still a lot of family, his grandparents. So there's still a lot of family there. So when we do get the chance, we go. We were just there in December for Christmas, because obviously our daughter's 4 this year. So she got to the stage where, Christmas is all exciting and she understands what's going on. So it was like a big palaver for her. So we try and go. It is quite expensive for us to leave the Isle of Man. I think that's the only downside to living here, is you can't just get off the island and go directly where you need. You have to get off the island to England and then somewhere else. So that increases the price quite substantially. with regards to traveling anywhere, really, even if it's just going to go on holiday.
Yeah, I can imagine. And if you say you've been there 3 times, what is your experience? Is it a place that you can or will go back to, or
I will never go back to South Africa.
really? So you and you, Silvano, you feel the same?
Yeah, over the 7 years that we've been here, and each trip, it seems to me like it's deteriorating over time.
Especially the last time we were
Like
there.
there's more rubbish in the streets and small potholes in the roads and load shedding, and
It does seem, I think because we don't see it every day, when we go back, even if it's been a year or year and a half, we see how bad it's getting. Whereas obviously the people there are like, oh no, it's not getting that bad. But we see from an outsider's perspective, comparing from the different times that we've gone, you can see it's deteriorating. And I think every time we go, we're like, I think we made a good decision.
Okay. Well, that's very important, I think, to have a clear goal and a clear mindset in terms of, you're there and you're going to make it work. So, and on the island itself, do you mix mostly with South Africans, or do you have some British friends as well?
I think we actually mix mostly with South Africans, actually, because obviously his mate came over 2 years after we were here.
yeah.
And I mean, they've known each other for like 12 years. So we spent a lot of time with them before Kiara. Obviously now we're a bit different in our lives. Like they have kids one's just turned 21. So they're obviously in a different life at the moment, like life journey, right? We have another South African couple that we're really good friends with. They moved from South Africa 2 years ago, I think. Long story short, his mom was like, this lady's moving to the Isle of Man. I was like, no way. And then a year later, I messaged her on Facebook and I was like, we should get together because our kids are the same age and now they're like best of friends. So yeah, so they're also both South African, and yeah, I think most of them are South African, really. And also my friend Justine, who's also moved from South Africa literally a couple of days after we did. So she's been here so long as we have. I think we just kind of like just find each other, I guess.
I think we all have a common story, right? We left this place, we arrived here, it's only us. So I don't know, we like seek comfort that we have the same kind of background,
Absolutely. It's so interesting when you speak. Obviously, Australia, there's a very large South African community. Portugal, there is a big one. Funnily enough, we tend to have more friends outside of the South African community, but that's just maybe just us. But, in a lot of places, the South Africans do stick together. These people, I spoke to people in America, and it's the same thing. They also gravitate toward each other. And I think it's got to do with, we have the same sense of humor. We laugh at the same jokes. We tend to have just a different outlook on life. So South Africans tend to get together. And the other question that often pops up is the whole thing of, being in a strange country and being on your own, in a way of not having family around, not for the good times, but for difficult times. In South Africa, if something goes wrong, you call Oma and Oma's there. But it's different when you live abroad. Is that your experience as well?
Very different. And I think sometimes it can be very difficult. I mean, Kiara was in hospital a couple of weeks ago twice. And I mean, luckily the week that she was here, someone's mom was visiting. So we had someone. And I think if we didn't have someone, I think it would have been absolute chaos. At least she helped calm the situation a bit, I guess, and just be there for support, that, the extra support. But I mean, when things like that happen, she's luckily never been admitted to hospital before. But I mean, obviously, when she's sick from him from school, it's between him and I, who works from home that day. And then the next day, if she's home still, we swap. So it's kind of trying to find that balance of finding a work that's understanding that you have to be at home. And obviously us being at home, like swapping around who's at home one day and who's at home the next day. Because I mean, it's 2 or 3 days before she goes back to school, and there's nothing you can do. You can't go drop her off at Omar. You can't go drop her off at Opa. Like, it's just, it is a bit more difficult, and I think it's been a bit of a learning curve. But I mean, I guess you deal with it. That's your situation. You just have to manage.
Oh, very true. And an interesting point that somebody made the other day was that they decided to leave for their kids, and they are hoping that they will see their grandkids in the same country. Whereas, people of my age, sometimes they didn't go and their kids go. Now they can't see their grandkids. So it's a sacrifice you make, but hopefully one day you'll get the benefit of it. And I think people see it that way. So if you have to just talk generally about life on the island, because I guess it's relatively small, but it's like a small city. Do you feel isolated sometimes?
I don't think we feel isolated as much as there isn't as much to do on the Isle of Man. So with kids especially, so in winter, all the tourist attractions are closed. Obviously, it's freezing cold outside and it's raining and it's wet and sometimes it's snowing. So you're kind of trapped indoors. So I think with regards to the Isle of Man, obviously in England, there's a lot of stuff to do, whereas the Isle of Man, there is not so much. And I think that's the only thing we found is you can't just drive an hour and be in the Lake District and go for a weekend, or just drive to Manchester for like a weekend. Like you can take the boat or whatever, but obviously it's quite costly. So I think that's the only thing we found is there's not much to do in winter. In summer it's fun, but in winter I think we battle a bit more with regards to
but that
places to
to
go.
me that's the Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
But the Monday to Friday, I'm 3 minutes from the office.
Yeah, true.
Get to school is 2 minutes away. I'm never in traffic. I never waited a robot more than once.
Those are big benefits as well. Yeah, very true.
Yeah, so
yeah, because I mean, if you go in
can't have
England, you have to probably train an hour
Yeah.
or train an hour and a half or drive an hour and be stuck on the motorway. Like it's just, I guess it's just like give and take, right?
No, for sure. Absolutely right. So in this process of emigrating, has something funny happened? Do you have any funny stories? Because sometimes you hear of people with some really funny things that happened to them.
It was the first year we moved to the Isle of Man, and Silvano's brother came over to watch the TT. Obviously, we didn't have Kiara at that stage, so it was just us, and we went out jolling. And we were about, I checked, like 3 kilometers from home was the city center. We obviously went out to, like, they have this massive Bushies village during TT where there's bands playing, live bands, and like everyone from the Isle of Man go there, and everyone like who come visit for the TT. And we obviously went out, we drank a bit, and we were like, oh, let's just walk home. We walked home at 2:00 in the morning. We were halfway there. We were like, I'm hungry. So we stopped at Domino's, got a Domino's pizza, carried on walking home. Now, the house was probably the steepest uphill I've ever walked in my entire life. I think I probably kissed my front door by the time we got there at like 3:00 in the morning. Not to mention we were sober. I was tired. All I wanted was bed. But yeah, I mean, I guess we decided to walk home. We walked home.
That's something you won't do in South Africa, that's for sure.
Well, exactly. Like you literally, I mean, the first night we went out, it was like midnight. And we were just walking around the streets. Everyone else was walking around the streets. There was no immediate feel like this threat to your life. Like it was strange, to say the least. I think to experience how you should go out and the environment you should be in, like, and how life should be.
I hear that a lot. Yeah.
You compare it to how you were there, you're like, well, why did I deal with this for 30 years of my life, kind of thing. Like, if you don't know what's out there until you've actually seen what a better quality of life is.
There is that, and also like just being able to have access to basic services like electricity and water, I mean, we've been here 7 years. I don't think the power's ever gone off once, it's just...
Yeah.
Well, you know that we were off for 12 hours the other day, last Monday.
I remember my mom was telling me. So it was like,
What
it was
a nightmare.
ridiculous. Well, the problem is they didn't know when it was coming back.
Yeah, no communication. That was the worst thing. If we had Starlink, it would have been different. But that's the only thing that was working was Starlink, because all the other networks were down. Tell me, and if you have to think of your process and what you had done now, is there anything you would have done differently to where you are now?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty, I think it was pretty easy for us. Because obviously I got the family EEA, family permit visa thing. That was quite quick. Just had to submit like crap load of documentation. But I mean, because we had been cohabitating for 2 years, it was pretty simple. So I think the fact that he has a European passport made the process a lot easier. I think it is a bit more difficult now, especially after Brexit. I don't think we would have done anything differently.
And you arrived with suitcases only.
No, so the company doesn't do it anymore, but part of my contract was housing when we arrived. They paid for all the shipping. They paid for our flights. So yeah,
car rental, I think.
Car rental for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then there's a company on the island that helps new settlers, right? So they take you to open up a bank account. They take you to the tax office so you can get a tax number. They help you register at a doctor. So they help you get somewhat settled.
Yeah, I mean, when we arrived, we had like bread and milk and everything we needed for the first couple of days in the flat that they got for us. So, I mean, they were really helpful. And I think my friend Justine, that's how we met, is through their like coffee mornings of partners, because a lot of one would probably be working, the other one wouldn't be. So have like these coffee mornings where you go and you just meet people who are in the same situation as you. And I think they really like made a big difference.
That was a big help, I think. Yeah.
That is a huge help, because I think people that arrive on their own and have no frame of reference, that's pretty difficult. We learned the hard way that, what's your address? Oh, no, we don't have an address yet. Well, you can't do anything without an address. So that took a bit of time.
They really helped with a lot of the admin, right?
Yeah, and that's very important.
Yeah.
And if you have to advise friends in South Africa, I guess you have friends who are thinking about immigrating. What would you say to them today?
If you have the opportunity, take it. I think there's a lot of people that just are sitting there who have that opportunity and are not taking it because they feel comfortable or they feel like people are depending on them too much. I think sometimes you have to be selfish for your own future. And if you're not going to sometimes you have to just be selfish and just, there is a better life out there than what South Africa has to offer. And I think if that opportunity comes up, you need to take it. Otherwise, you need to just make your own opportunities and get out, really. That's what I would say.
If you think about South Africa, we're getting to the end. Is there anything that you like really miss? If you could ship something over, I asked somebody the other day, and they said they would bring their domestic help.
I think we would ship Omas and Opas over. I think it's more about family that we miss more than anything else. It's a beautiful country, but I think that's what we miss the most is the family support.
I guess that I can understand. And it makes a lot of sense. There are two things that I won't ship. One is a car guard and the other one is a Hadida.
I don't miss those bloody things either. But we have seagulls, so...
Okay, they're as bad, I guess, yeah.
Yes, we have plenty seagulls.
We have lots of those as well. But anyway, no, thank you very much, guys. I mean, it's really interesting. Love talking to you, hearing your story and sharing what life is like on the island. I'm sure a lot of people now know a little bit more about the Isle of Man, that it's not just a little rock. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you sharing with me tonight.
Thank you so much for listening to our story.
So if you enjoyed my discussion with Alicia and Silvano and would like to hear more about experiences of South Africans who have left for a better future, why not subscribe on your favorite platform? If you would like to share your own story, contact us on relocatedSouthAfrican@gmail.com. Until next time.